On a sweltering summer night, a girl wandered alone to the edge of the swimming pool. The moment she stepped into the water, the coolness instantly swept away all the heat. Her graceful movements resembled a mermaid gliding through the pool. Her slender waist and long legs moved with ease, radiating an alluring charm. She floated quietly in the water, savoring the rare tranquility and coolness. Suddenly, a shirtless man appeared at the edge of the pool, startling her. It was her foster father, and his unexpected presence threw her into a panic. Frightened, she quickly climbed out of the pool. His greedy gaze roamed over her body, making her instinctively cover her chest. Misinterpreting her reaction as fear, he kindly handed her a towel and reminded her not to catch a cold before walking away without looking back. Watching his retreating figure, the girl felt a vague sense of unease. After finishing her swim and preparing to change, she couldn't shake the feeling that a pair of sinister eyes were watching her from the shadows. When she turned around, she suddenly saw a shadowy figure dart behind the curtain upstairs. This incident made her realize something was wrong, though she had no idea the real danger was only just beginning. In the days that followed, her foster father frequently snuck into her room at night. As he watched her sleeping face, a wicked smile crept across his lips. One evening, unable to suppress his desires, he invited her to dinner. He tried to decline, saying she had homework, but he insisted she had only 10 minutes to get ready. Seeing his firm attitude, she reluctantly agreed. They drove a luxury sports car to a Western-style restaurant, which surprised her. Her usually strict foster father suddenly became gentle. During dinner, he confided in her, saying his marriage had long lost its spark. What troubled him most was that his wife had become cold and emotionless, like a carved wooden figure. The girl didn't know how to comfort him and could only nod along. Her passive response made him visibly dissatisfied. On the way home, suddenly became irritable, speeding recklessly down the highway. His behavior terrified her. Then he abruptly pulled over in a deserted area and lunged at her, but he claimed he only wanted to fasten her seatbelt. Shaken, she returned home only to witness something even more disturbing. The girl's name was Amina Kone. She had once lived happily with her loving parents and younger brother Kwame. Though Amina was well behaved, she was also rebellious during her teenage years, often sneaking out to party with friends when their parents weren't home. One night, after staying out late, Amina returned to find 2 police cars parked outside her house. With a nervous heart, Amina entered the house only to find it completely empty. Just as she was filled with confusion, 2 officers approached and delivered devastating news. Her parents had died in a car accident. Overwhelmed, Amina fainted on the spot. At the funeral, a strange man approached her, claiming to be her uncle. He said he'd help her whenever she needed it. But Amina had no memory of this uncle, whom she hadn't seen in over 10 years, and didn't trust him. She walked away without responding. After the funeral, her parents' financial attorney contacted Amina and informed her that her parents had left a will. According to the will, if anything happened to them, custody of Amina and Kwame would go to Bako and Tariro Diallo. The lawyer explained that Amina's parents had been frugal, and with the insurance payout, she and her brother would be financially secure for the rest of their lives. Before leaving, the lawyer gave Amina a business card and told her to reach out if she ever needed help. The reason her parents chose the Diallos as guardians was because they had been neighbors for over a decade and had watched the children grow up. The bond between the families was deep. Soon, Amina packed her belongings with Kwame and prepared to leave the home they had known since childhood. But they had no idea that behind the friendly smiles of the Diallos lurked a sinister plan. After a long day of travel, the Diallos brought the siblings to their luxurious hilltop mansion. Amina and Kwame were stunned by the opulence. They hadn't expected the Diallos to be so wealthy, living in such a spacious and extravagant home. The house had a fully equipped gym and even a private home theater that children would love. Tariro showed them to the room prepared for them. Amina was confused. Why in such a large house were she and Kwame being made to share a room? But since They were now living in someone else's home. She had no choice but to accept it despite feeling uncomfortable. Sharing a room with her younger brother during her teenage years made her feel awkward. With no other option, she went outside to change clothes. Suddenly, she felt as if someone was watching her. When she turned around, she saw a shadow pass behind the curtain upstairs. This made Amina realize something was wrong, though she still didn't know her nightmare was just beginning. The next morning, Bako Diallo personally drove Amina to her new school. On the way, Bako earnestly advised her to build good relationships with her teachers and classmates and promised to pick her up after school. At school, everything felt unfamiliar, but thanks to her strong social skills, Amina quickly made new friends. When school ended, Amina watched her classmates leave one by one, but Bako never came to pick her up. With no other choice, she decided to walk to Tariro's office to go home with him. When she arrived, she saw Tariro in a meeting with two men. Upon noticing Amina, he quickly signaled for the door to be closed. While waiting, Amina overheard a heated argument inside. Moments later, she saw Tariro's face slammed against the glass. This sudden scene frightened her, and she wanted to leave the office as soon as possible. As she passed through the work area, she noticed a car parked in the corner, one identical to her father's. She asked an employee who the car belonged to, but he said he didn't know. It had been parked there for months. On the way home, Tariro explained that the earlier conflict was just a disagreement with business partners. Amina began to suspect that the Diallos hadn't adopted them out of kindness, but for some hidden, sinister reason. Back home, she immediately searched online for news about her parents' accident. These clues strongly suggested that Tariro was somehow connected to their deaths. Overwhelmed by confusion, Amina went to the pool, hoping the cool water would help clear her mind. She swam vigorously, trying to release her inner turmoil. Suddenly, a shirtless man appeared at the poolside. It was Tariro. His sudden presence startled her, and she quickly climbed out of the water. His greedy gaze roamed over her body, making her instinctively raise her arms to shield herself. Misreading her reaction, Tariro handed her a towel and told her not to catch a cold before walking away. This unsettling encounter deepened Amina's suspicion that Tariro might be involved in her parents' deaths. The next day, during class, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. After school, she visited her parents' financial attorney and asked him to investigate who owned the BMW her parents were driving the night of the accident. The lawyer agreed without hesitation and promised to notify her as soon as he had answers. Before leaving, Amina learned from the lawyer that her parents had left behind a $4 million inheritance back home. While organizing her books, Amina witnessed something disturbing. Bako Diallo was sitting motionless on the couch, holding a syringe. Though Amina had never seen drug use firsthand, she understood what it meant. The next day, the lawyer called Amina with the results. The BMW involved in the accident was registered to Tariro's company. The truth was finally coming to light. Tariro had orchestrated the accident for financial gain, determined to escape with her brother Kwame. Amina secretly memorized the security code Tariro used for the house's alarm system and wrote it down in her notebook. At 4 a.m., Amina quietly got out of bed and snuck into Tariro's bedroom to steal his car keys. But she accidentally dropped them, waking Tariro. Frozen with fear, Amina stayed silent on the floor. Luckily, Tariro was still groggy and went back to sleep. Amina grabbed the keys from the floor, rushed back to the room, woke her sleeping brother Kwame, and used the memorized code to unlock the security door. They escaped in Tariro's car, but fate had other plans. A torrential downpour triggered a mudslide, and the police blocked the road. When Amina saw Tariro chasing after them, she was devastated. With no way out, she confronted him. Amina demanded to know if Tariro tampered with her parents' BMW, causing their fatal crash. He admitted his motive was to steal the $4 million inheritance. Eventually, he forced the siblings back to the Diallo house. As soon as they entered, Amina fought back, enraged. Tariro punched her hard, knocking her to the ground. Bako walked in, holding a syringe filled with a sedative. As the drug entered Amina's body, her consciousness began to fade. She slowly lost awareness until she blacked out. When Amina woke up again, she was horrified to find Bako dead in her bed. Seeing Bako's lifeless body, Amina screamed and fled the room. It turned out Bako had a long-standing drug addiction. When Tariro realized Bako's supply had run out, he was forced to go out and find more drugs for her. After Tariro left, Bako retrieved her last hidden dose. She then noticed a videotape on the bookshelf. The tape showed Amina as a child playing happily with Bako. Moved by the memories, Bako had a change of heart and decided to help Amina. But as the drug took effect, her consciousness faded. Ultimately, she died from an overdose in Amina's bed. When Tariro returned and saw Bako's body, he was devastated, consumed by grief and rage. Tariro began searching the house for Amina and Kwame. Kwame tried to escape, but was caught as soon as he opened the door. Tariro dragged Kwame back inside, but just as they reached the stairs, Amina ambushed him and knocked him down. The siblings ran desperately toward the exit. But Tariro caught up and grabbed Amina by the hair, throwing her into the basement. Amina noticed a ventilation window and pulled a wrench from the wall. She told Kwame to break the wire mesh covering the window. Just then, Kwame saw Tariro drive his sports car into the yard and return to the house to sleep. Kwame crawled out of the basement and easily grabbed the car keys from the living room. When Amina saw Tariro sleeping on the couch, her instincts told her it might be a trap. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Tariro jumped up so quickly that Amina became even more certain of her suspicion. To Tariro's surprise, the visitor was the lawyer. As soon as he entered, he accused Tariro of failing in his duties as guardian. He informed Tariro that he had filed a petition with the court to revoke his guardianship. But he didn't realize an even bigger problem was about to arrive. A loan shark showed up demanding repayment. Tariro lied, claiming the lawyer stole all his money. As the lawyer tried to explain, the loan shark stabbed him, killing him instantly. With no money to take, the loan shark decided to steal Tariro's luxury car and kidnap him. Tariro resisted, saying they could take anything except the car. But the loan shark didn't care. He gagged Tariro and drove off in the sports car. As the car sped away, Tariro felt helpless and hopeless. Moments later, the loan shark realized the brakes had failed. He finally understood why Tariro was so desperate to keep the car. Caro had sabotaged the brakes. He had planned for Amina and Kwame to take the car and crash. Kay had even staged a scene to make Kwame steal the keys. Tariro ambushed a police officer and stole his gun. As he climbed onto the highway, he spotted Amina sitting in the police car. Amina jumped into the driver's seat and slammed the gas pedal, ramming the car into Tariro. She finally avenged her parents. Amina and Kwame, now safe, mourned there. Parents with their uncle by their side, he became their new guardian. The siblings followed him to Lagos to begin a new life.